Above the dying star, the alien research station floated like a jewel of steel and glass, its lights reflecting in the void as millions of stars blinked beyond, and inside, civilizations from across the galaxy had gathered to witness yet another attempt to solve the celestial lock, a puzzle that had defeated scholars, scientists, engineers, and warlords for centuries. A device said to control the flow of energy between stars, granting whoever solved it immense power, yet leaving entire planets in ruin with each failed attempt, and now all eyes were on a single human, Alex Carter, who stepped onto the observation deck with nothing but his mind, a small team of assistants, and a quiet confidence that unnerved even the most seasoned aliens, for they had never seen a human brave enough to approach the lock, and they laughed openly, sneering at his fragile frame and simple tools, saying this creature could never succeed where the greatest minds of the galaxy had perished, yet Alex ignored them, focusing instead on the shifting symbols and glowing panels of the puzzle before him, a structure that seemed alive, changing its configuration unpredictably, lines of energy twisting and turning as if mocking every attempt, and his team stood behind him, holding their breath, aware that the smallest mistake could trigger a catastrophic chain reaction, for the star beneath the station was unstable, collapsing slowly, sending tremors through the station that rattled consoles and caused the floor to vibrate beneath their feet, and Alex's eyes scanned the panels carefully, noticing patterns the alien scientists had missed, the subtle rhythm in the way the symbols cycled, the way the lights pulsed in a sequence that seemed random yet held a hidden order, and he began to move his hands deliberately, aligning one symbol with another, trying combinations that were logical yet untested, while the aliens jeered and whispered among themselves, confident that he would fail as all humans had before. Yet some of the older observers, those who had studied the puzzle for decades, paused as they watched, a flicker of unease crossing their faces, for there was a subtlety in Alex's approach, a way of seeing the puzzle not as a machine to be forced, but as a living riddle to be understood, and the suspense grew as each second passed, the star below threatening to erupt in a flare that could destroy the station. Alarms ringing in warning, lights flashing across the hull, and still Alex moved carefully, testing one combination, withdrawing, and testing another, his brow furrowed, mind racing faster than any algorithm the aliens had devised, his team silently supporting him, adjusting the controls, recording every symbol, every pulse, every failure, knowing that the survival of the station depended not on power or weapons but on the patience and intellect of one human. And as the minutes stretched, the galaxy watched in tense silence, the laughter of the aliens fading, replaced by a growing tension as the puzzle seemed to resist Alex, yet bend subtly under his hand, as if recognizing that he approached it differently, with intuition and courage that machines and logic alone could not comprehend, and a sudden shift occurred, one panel sliding into place with a click that echoed across the chamber, sending a wave of energy through the station, and for the first time, some of the alien observers murmured, uncertain whether it was chance or brilliance, while Alex paused, hand trembling slightly as he realized the puzzle was responding, his heart pounding in rhythm with the pulse of the star beneath them, and he had to make a choice. One move that could either complete the sequence or trigger a catastrophic failure that would destroy the station and the nearby planets, and as he glanced at his team, their eyes wide with fear and hope, he took a deep breath, focusing not on the eyes watching him but on the pattern he had discovered, the hidden logic that only a human perspective could see, and slowly, deliberately, he moved his hand to align the final symbol, the lights around the room flickering as energy surged through the circuits, panels clicking and spinning, and the station trembled violently, alarm screaming as the star reacted. Yet Alex held his position, calculating, trusting his understanding of the puzzle, and the suspense was unbearable, for every alien in the observation deck held their breath, expecting disaster, yet the pattern held. The symbols locked into place, and a hum of power filled the room, not destructive but harmonious, as if the station itself acknowledged that the impossible had been attempted with wisdom, patience, and courage, and for the first time in centuries, a human had done what the greatest minds of the galaxy could not, And though the star beneath them still burned dangerously, the room was alive with tension and awe. Whispers spreading among the alien delegates, some incredulous, some afraid, some questioning their own beliefs. As Alex Carter stood, sweat dripping, hands shaking, yet calm, eyes shining with the knowledge that one single human attempt had changed the course of history, and the galaxy waited in silence to see what would come next, for the puzzle had been touched, and in that moment, everyone understood that something extraordinary had begun, a suspense that no one could predict. For the stars themselves seemed to pulse with the energy of a new possibility, all because a human had dared to try where none else could. The alien delegates watched with growing unease as Alex Carter studied the puzzle, their laughter fading into tense murmurs, for now it was clear that this human was not fumbling or guessing but observing, analyzing, and thinking in ways they had not anticipated, and his small team followed his every move, adjusting minor controls, noting patterns, yet the puzzle remained a living challenge, symbols shifting unpredictably, lights pulsing in a sequence that seemed random to anyone who approached it as a machine rather than a riddle, and Alex's brow furrowed as he traced the flow of energy through the circuits, his mind connecting dots no alien had seen for centuries, noticing that certain symbols reacted only when touched in combination with others in a rhythm dictated not by logic alone but by intuition, a trait the aliens had long dismissed as human weakness, yet here it was proving to be strength, and as he moved, aligning one symbol with another, a soft hum began to rise from the puzzle, gentle at first, then louder, vibrating through the floor, through the walls, and into the hearts of the spectators, and some of the older alien scholars exchanged worried glances, realizing that the human was discovering a principle they had overlooked, a simplicity hidden beneath layers of complexity, and the suspense grew, for the star below them still burned, threatening to collapse, its gravity tugging on the station, and every mistake could trigger disaster. Yet Alex pressed on, carefully testing combinations, withdrawing when a panel threatened to lock, observing the subtle feedback, adjusting his approach with each move, and the room was silent except for the soft hum of the puzzle, the whispers of his team, and the occasional gasp as a symbol shifted unexpectedly in response to his touch. Minutes stretched like hours as he worked, sweat dripping from his forehead, eyes scanning the ever-changing sequence, yet his hands moved with confidence, guided by a pattern he alone seemed to perceive, and the alien delegates grew increasingly anxious, some whispering among themselves that perhaps humans were not as weak as they had believed, while others clutched their robes and muttered that it must be trickery, an accident, a fluke. But Alex ignored them, focusing entirely on the puzzle, on the flow of energy, and on the timing of each interaction, and then, suddenly, a section of the puzzle clicked into place, lights cascading down in a controlled pattern that had never been seen before, and the hum grew louder, pulsing in harmony with the dying star, and the aliens gasped in shock, some taking a step back, fearing that the human had somehow triggered a mechanism beyond comprehension. And the suspense reached its peak, for the puzzle was now partially responding to his intuition, showing signs that it recognized a solution, yet the final sequence remained hidden, teasing him, demanding perfect timing and insight. Alex paused, breathing slowly, thinking through every step he had taken, every alignment, every symbol, and realized that a subtle rhythm, almost like a heartbeat, guided the correct sequence, something the aliens had missed because they relied entirely on logic and brute calculation, and with his hands steady, he prepared to test the next combination, knowing that a single misstep could reset the entire puzzle or cause catastrophic failure, yet understanding that one correct move might unlock what no other being had unlocked for centuries. And as he moved, the symbols began to glow more brightly, panels sliding and shifting with precision, energy surging through the circuits, and the aliens could no longer hide their astonishment, some stepping forward to observe more closely, others turning away, unwilling to watch human genius unfold before their eyes, and Alex's team held their breath, hearts pounding, knowing they were witnessing history in motion, the tension unbearable, for time was short, the star below still unstable, yet hope and excitement mingled with fear, and every eye in the observation deck was fixed on the small human who had dared to attempt what the galaxy thought impossible. The symbols continued to respond to Alex's touch, pulsing in complex patterns that seemed to resonate with him alone, his intuition guiding each movement, and the suspense tightened, for now the puzzle was no longer simply a challenge, but a test of whether human creativity could succeed where machines and centuries of alien knowledge had failed. And as he aligned the final few pieces of the current sequence, the puzzle emitted a harmonic vibration that reverberated through the station, lights cascading like a waterfall, alarms muting, and a sense of awe settled over the room. The delegates frozen, some whispering of miracles, others questioning their assumptions, while Alex's team exchanged silent smiles, knowing the breakthrough was only the beginning, yet monumental, and the galaxy waited, breathless, for what would come next, for the impossible was now within reach of a single human mind. And suspense gripped every heart as the next move promised either triumph or disaster. The fate of the celestial lock hanging in the balance, the dying star below a reminder that time was short and only courage, insight, and patience could prevail. Alex Carter studied the puzzle with unwavering focus, the alien delegates surrounding him in tense silence, some pacing nervously, some leaning forward with disbelief, as the symbols shifted unpredictably under his hands, glowing in sequences that had baffled the galaxy for centuries. And in that moment, he realized the key was not force, not brute calculation, but pattern recognition, intuition, and timing, something the aliens had long dismissed as trivial, for they relied on machines, calculations, and centuries of failed attempts to guide them. Yet Alex saw the flow, the rhythm, the hidden logic that had escaped the greatest minds, and he began to test a sequence no one else had dared try, moving panels in a way that seemed almost random, yet his instincts guided him, and the symbols responded subtly at first, a faint glow, a gentle hum, as if acknowledging his attempt, and the suspense grew, for every alien in the observation deck watched in shock, whispers spreading that this human might actually succeed where empires had failed, and the star beneath them trembled, sending vibrations through the station, a constant reminder that failure would be catastrophic. Yet Alex pressed on, his heart pounding with anticipation, every movement deliberate, every adjustment calculated by both logic and intuition, and suddenly he noticed a subtle irregularity in the pattern, a hidden rule embedded in the symbols, something intuitive, almost musical in its arrangement, that required a human mind to perceive, something the aliens had never considered, and he smiled, knowing this was the breakthrough, yet also aware that a single wrong move could collapse the entire system, the energy flowing unpredictably, the star's instability threatening to end everything, and suspense tightened like a vice as he prepared to implement the hidden rule, aligning symbols in a sequence dictated not by brute force but by insight, intuition, and courage. And as he touched the final panel in the sequence, the puzzle pulsed with light, energy flowing in a perfect rhythm, lights cascading across the walls, panels sliding and clicking in harmony, and a low hum filled the observation deck, reverberating through every alien present, some frozen in shock, some whispering questions they had never dared ask, and Alex's team held their breath, knowing the breakthrough was monumental yet delicate. For the celestial lock was still not fully solved, and the dying star beneath them continued to pulse, reminding them that time was short, that every second was precious, yet hope surged, for the impossible now seemed within reach of a single human mind, a mind capable of seeing patterns others could not, and the suspense was unbearable, every alien heart pounding as they realized the centuries of failure might finally be undone, and that a human, fragile yet determined, had discovered the hidden rule that could change the fate of the galaxy. And as Alex prepared for the next step, aligning the final panels with steady hands, a sense of awe and tension gripped everyone, for they knew that one correct move could complete the puzzle, one mistake could destroy the station. Yet in that precarious moment, Alex trusted his insight, intuition, and courage, knowing the galaxy was watching and the outcome hung by a single human attempt, the suspense almost tangible, the energy of the puzzle building the star beneath them threatening, and the galaxy held its breath, waiting to see whether the human would succeed where all others had failed. The celestial lock began to respond more strongly to Alex Carter's movements, panels sliding smoothly into place, lights cascading in a rhythm that had never been observed before, and the alien delegates around him could no longer hide their astonishment, some stepping back, others frozen in disbelief, whispering to each other that the human was not only succeeding but doing so in a way that defied all their centuries of knowledge. And Alex's small team watched, tense and silent, knowing that one wrong touch could trigger disaster as the star beneath the station pulsed dangerously, its energy unstable and unpredictable. Yet Alex moved deliberately, his hands guided by the hidden rule he had discovered, intuition guiding his actions as much as logic, aligning symbols that seemed chaotic yet followed a secret rhythm, and suddenly the puzzle hummed with life. Vibrations traveling through the station, walls glowing, circuits lighting in sequences that mesmerized all who watched, and the suspense became unbearable, for every alien present realized that this human was unlocking something far beyond their comprehension, something that made centuries of research and failure pale in comparison, while the star below continued to burn and tremble, reminding them that time was running out and that one misstep could end everything in an instant. Yet Alex pressed on, eyes narrowed, mind focused, sensing the final sequence within his reach, and the puzzle seemed to react to his confidence, pulsing brighter, as if acknowledging his understanding, and whispers of awe spread among the delegates, some questioning their own knowledge, some fearful that human intuition had discovered a truth they had overlooked, while Alex's team exchanged silent glances, knowing that the breakthrough was monumental, yet fragile, and each move he made sent energy surging through the station, a wave of light and vibration that caused panels to shift, lights to dance, and the room to feel alive, almost as if the puzzle itself were conscious, and suspense gripped the galaxy. For now the challenge was no longer merely technical, but a test of courage, patience, and insight, a single human standing against centuries of alien failure. And as Alex aligned the final few symbols in the sequence, the puzzle let out a harmonic vibration, a deep resonant hum that filled the chamber and echoed across the observation deck, a sign that the impossible was now within reach. Yet the star beneath them continued to pulse erratically, threatening to collapse at any moment, heightening tension and suspense, and the alien delegates could only watch, some whispering prayers, others murmuring doubts, all witnessing history unfold as a human mind reshaped the fate of the galaxy. And Alex, sweat dripping, hands steady, heart racing, prepared to make the final move, knowing that everything depended on precision, insight, and courage. That centuries of failure had led to this moment, and that one human attempt could either complete the puzzle or destroy the station and all who watched. And as he reached for the final panel, the hum of the puzzle intensified, lights glowing brighter than ever, energy flowing like rivers of light, and the suspense became almost unbearable. Every breath held, every eye wide with anticipation, for the galaxy was on the edge of revelation. And only Alex's next move would determine whether the impossible had finally been achieved or whether history would mark another century of human failure. And in that moment, the room was alive with tension, hope, and fear, for the power of the celestial lock was immense, and the smallest miscalculation could end everything. Yet Alex, trusting his mind, intuition, and courage, prepared to make the move that would either change the galaxy forever or leave it in ruin, the suspense tangible, the star trembling, and the fate of civilizations hanging on a single human mind. Energy surged through the celestial lock like a river breaking free, lights cascading across panels in a pattern that no alien mind had ever seen, and the entire observation deck shook as the hum of power grew louder, vibrating through every metal beam and glass panel, while Alex Carter stood at the center, sweat dripping from his brow, hands steady, eyes scanning the shifting symbols, fully aware that the smallest mistake could cause a catastrophic failure, yet trusting his intuition and understanding of the hidden rule he had discovered. And as the energy intensified, the alien delegates around him could no longer hide their shock, whispers of disbelief and awe spreading as they realized that a human was not only interacting with the puzzle but controlling it in a way centuries of their knowledge had never achieved, some stepping closer to study, others retreating in fear. For the harmonic vibrations and glowing sequences indicated that the celestial lock was responding perfectly, its energy stabilizing rather than spiraling out of control, and the star beneath the station, once unstable and threatening to collapse, now pulsed in sync with the puzzle, its heat and light calming slightly, as if acknowledging the human's control, creating an almost surreal scene of harmony amidst the centuries of chaos. And the suspense grew as all eyes turned to the final panels, which glowed brighter, awaiting the single move that could either complete the mechanism or overload it catastrophically. And Alex took a deep breath, fingers poised over the last symbols, feeling the rhythm of the lock, sensing the energy flowing, the patterns of light guiding him, knowing the galaxy's greatest puzzle was finally within reach of completion. And when he pressed the last symbol into place, a brilliant flash of energy exploded from the lock, enveloping the station in a warm glow rather than destructive fire, cascading light across the observation deck, panels clicking and sliding into perfect alignment, and a harmonic hum filled the air, reverberating through the walls, the floor, and the hearts of every being present, leaving alien delegates speechless, mouths agape, unable to comprehend that a human, a creature they had long considered weak and primitive, had solved what they could not. And as the hum stabilized into a gentle resonance, a ripple of awe and fear spread throughout the galaxy. For the energy released by the celestial lock illuminated nearby systems, caused stars to glow with new brilliance, and subtly shifted gravitational flows, proof that Alex's single attempt had changed the balance of cosmic power in ways no one had predicted. And while the delegates slowly regained their composure, some bowing in respect, some whispering warnings, Alex stepped back, exhausted but triumphant, realizing that the centuries-long puzzle had finally yielded to patience, courage, and human ingenuity. And the suspense did not end there, for the galaxy now watched as alien leaders debated whether to accept this unprecedented achievement or to challenge it, and the revelation that a simple human mind could outperform the greatest alien intellects left civilizations across the stars trembling with a mix of awe, admiration, and fear. The story of Alex Carter's attempt spreading instantly. The news that one human had completed the celestial lock becoming the spark of a new era in which the potential of humanity was recognized, and as Alex and his team prepared to leave the station, the stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if celebrating the triumph of insight, perseverance, and courage over centuries of failure, leaving the galaxy with a new understanding that sometimes the simplest mind, guided by intuition and bravery, can solve what the greatest minds could not. And the suspense lingered as every civilization contemplated what this single human achievement meant for the future, for power, and for the balance of the cosmos. And the story of the human who changed the galaxy would be remembered forever. The celestial lock now fully completed, Alex Carter stepped back, breathing heavily, his body exhausted but his mind racing with the weight of what he had accomplished. And across the galaxy, civilizations paused, listening, watching, and realizing that a single human had achieved what no empire, no fleet of scholars, and no centuries of alien effort could accomplish. And the energy released by the lock began to ripple outward, stabilizing star systems, opening channels of energy previously inaccessible. While alien leaders scrambled to comprehend the implications, some fearful that humanity now held power beyond what they had imagined, others in awe, whispering that perhaps humans had a potential they had long underestimated. And in the observation deck, Alex's small team exchanged quiet smiles, knowing they had been part of history, witnessing the impossible unfold. While the alien delegates debated whether to embrace this new era of knowledge or resist, and the suspense was palpable, for every choice now carried consequences for countless worlds, yet Alex remained calm, understanding that the lock had not only been a puzzle, but a test of courage, patience, and perspective, and his single human attempt had proven that intuition and insight could triumph where brute force and centuries of study had failed, and whispers spread from system to system, stories of the human who had changed the galaxy. And the energy from the lock began to interact with distant starships, powering new technology, stabilizing old systems, and creating opportunities for growth and cooperation that had been impossible before, and yet not all were pleased, for some feared humanity's rise, some plotted ways to undermine it, while others sought to learn from Alex's methods, hoping to replicate human intuition in their own way. And in the midst of this chaos, Alex stood quietly, watching the stars pulse with new light, knowing that one choice, one correct attempt, had shifted the balance of power and opened doors for knowledge, exploration, and understanding, and the suspense lingered as every civilization wondered how humans had managed what they could not, and what it meant for the future of interstellar politics, commerce, and war. And as the galaxy absorbed the impact, leaders began to recognize that power was no longer measured only by fleets or technology, but also by courage, insight, and creativity, traits humanity had shown in abundance. And the final panels of the celestial lock continued to glow, a symbol of possibility, proof that even a fragile human could change the fate of countless worlds. And as Alex turned to leave the observation deck with his team, whispers of admiration, fear, and hope followed them, the story of his attempt spreading faster than any fleet could travel, and the galaxy began to shift, not with immediate conflict, but with cautious curiosity. For one human had proven that intelligence guided by courage and intuition could alter the course of history, and now every civilization knew that the balance of power had changed, that the greatest puzzle of the stars had been solved by a single mind, and the suspense remained, for the future was uncertain, filled with possibilities, challenges, and new mysteries. Yet one thing was clear: the galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. And the story of Alex Carter's single attempt would be remembered for generations as the moment when one human choice changed everything.